The man is already dead when you pour your morning coffee. You don't know that yet. Right now, you're just a truck driver in Arizona, standing in a kitchen that smells like yesterday, watching the sky bleed from black to bruised purple over the Sonoran Desert. In 3 hours, you'll start your route. In 8 months, you'll be in federal custody. In 2 years, you'll drive 400 miles in the dark to finish something that was started without your permission. But right now, coffee. Silence. The ordinary weight of a life that feels like yours. It isn't. Not entirely. It never was. Your name is Marcus Reyes, 41 years old, Nogales, Arizona. You own a 2019 Kenworth T680, a 3-bedroom house with a cracked driveway, and a daughter named Sophia who is 8 and draws horses on everything. Your ex-wife, Carla, takes Sophia every other weekend. You two don't fight anymore. You just talk in the flat tone of people who used to mean something to each other and now just manage the distance. You have a partner, Danny Vega, been running loads together for 6 years. He knows your rig better than you do. He's the one who found you the double pay contract. You trusted him the way you trust your own hands, without thinking about it, which is the most dangerous kind of trust there is. At the diner every Tuesday, you and Danny split a plate of huevos rancheros and talk about buying a second truck, maybe a third, a small fleet, nothing crazy, just enough. Small ambition, clean ambition, the kind that doesn't threaten anyone, or so you believe. But some nights, when you're alone on Route 19 at 2 a.m., 18 wheels chewing through the dark, the desert starts feeling wrong in ways you can't name. A gas station is closed that's never been closed before. A car sits parked on the shoulder, lights off, engine cold. A border patrol checkpoint moves 3 miles north without announcement, like something quietly shifted its position. Small things, wrong things, you notice. You file them away. You don't say anything. You should have said something. The morning they come for you, Sophia has just called to say she lost a tooth. You're still smiling, actually smiling, when the federal vehicles pull into your yard. 6 of them. More men than you've ever had on your property. One of them is holding a photograph of your rig parked outside a warehouse in Sasabe that you have never been to. Surveillance timestamp, March 14th. You were in Phoenix on March 14th. You have the receipt. You have the motel keycard. None of it matters. They found 40 kilograms of fentanyl in a hidden compartment in your trailer. A compartment you didn't know existed. A compartment that was welded in clean professional by someone who knew your rig, your schedule, your route. By someone who had access. By someone who called you partner. Danny Vega is nowhere to be found. That detail lands like a stone in still water. You feel it. You don't say it out loud, not yet. You spend 11 months in Pima County detention. Your lawyer is a public defender named Marsh who smells like cigarettes and never looks up from his notepad. The prosecutor has surveillance footage, phone records, a CI whose face is never shown in court. Your route logs, the ones that prove where you were on March 14th, are missing from the company server. Someone deleted them, somebody careful, somebody who planned ahead. Carla takes Sophia to her mother's house in Tucson. You don't blame her. You watch your daughter's 8th birthday pass through a 10-minute phone call where she asks you when you're coming home and you have no answer that is true. Then comes the moment everything cracks open. Agent Rourke, Federal DEA Task Force, pulls you into a side room and sets a thin file on the table. He tells you quietly that they know you're not the top of this, that you were framed, that the man who built the frame is named Esteban Cordero, mid-level logistics, Sinaloa corridor, and that Danny Vega has been on their payroll for 3 years. 3 years. The entire time you were talking about second trucks and third trucks and small fleets and enough. Rourke offers you a deal, cooperation, witness protection maybe, a clean exit. You say you'll think about it. You don't think about it. That night you sit on the edge of your cell cot and you wait for the rage to come. The kind that shakes you, the kind that breaks something. But it doesn't come. What comes instead is quieter. Something draining out through a crack you can't locate. Not anger, not grief, just a long, cold exhale that doesn't end. Your hands stop shaking. You look at them, still, steady. That's the moment, not the arrest, not the verdict. That moment right there, the stillness after everything runs out. Something else moves in to fill the space. You get out 16 months later, time served, charges modified. You are not free, you are released. There's a difference, and you understand it now in a way you never would have before. Your rig is gone. Seized, auctioned, the house has a lien. Danny Vega is living in Hermosillo under a different last name, according to a man you pay $40 to in a parking lot outside a Western Union. $40. That's what the first thread costs. You pull it slow, you get a job driving for a laundry service. Cash, no questions. You learn the roads around Nogales the way you once knew your routes. Not from maps, but from feel. What's open at 3 a.m.? What changes? What stays the same when everything around it moves? You are relearning how to read a landscape that's hiding something. Because that's what you're doing now. Reading. You start with public records. DA press releases, federal indictments, court filings with names redacted but structures still visible if you know how to look. You build a map on a corkboard in your apartment. Shell companies, routes, names, relationships. You cover it with a bedsheet when Sophia visits, and you sit across from her at your kitchen table and help her with homework. And for those few hours, you are just her father. Then she leaves and you pull the sheet back and you keep going. Esteban Cordero runs logistics through 3 shell companies registered in Sonora. He uses legitimate trucking firms as cover, the same playbook used on you. He has a brother-in-law inside U.S. Customs in Nogales. He owns a restaurant in Tucson that launders around $40,000 a month. He has money, access, and insulation. You have time, and patience is the only currency that compounds. You find a man named Prieto, ex-border security, now private investigation, out of a strip mall in Douglas. You don't tell him everything. You never tell anyone everything anymore, but you tell him enough, and he finds you a name inside Cordero's operation, a dispatcher named Luce, sick mother, gambling debts, the particular exhaustion of someone who got in too deep and stayed too long. You meet her at a Denny's off the I-19. You don't threaten her. You don't offer her money. You just listen. 2 hours. You let her talk. And at the end of it, she slides a phone number and a pickup schedule across the table and asks you not to get her killed. You tell her you'll do your best. It's the most honest thing you've said in months. At night, you lie flat in your apartment and run sequences in your head. Move. Counter-move. What breaks first under pressure. What you sacrifice to move something else 3 steps forward. You stop sleeping the way normal people sleep. You rest like a machine between tasks. You stop dreaming about Sophia's birthday. You stop dreaming at all. You are not who you were. You knew that was coming. What surprises you is how clean the transition feels. No ceremony, no grief. One day you are a man with wounds, and the next you are something that uses wounds the way a surgeon uses a blade. Cordero built a trap and put you in it. Now you are the trap. You start with the money. Always start with the money. Cordero's restaurant gets an anonymous tip filed with the IRS, not from you directly. You draft it. Prieto submits it from a library computer in El Paso. 3 months later, a federal audit freezes 2 of Cordero's 3 shell companies. He doesn't panic. Men who've operated this long don't panic at pressure. They adapt. He gets careful. He tightens. He pulls resources inward. Careful men make smaller circles. Smaller circles are easier to collapse. Next, the customs contact. Cordero's brother-in-law receives a manila envelope at his home address. No return, postmarked Tucson. Inside, photographs of him and Cordero at a ranch outside Cananea. Nothing explicitly illegal in the images, just proximity, just association, just the kind of thing that ends a federal career before a single charge is filed. He requests a reassignment within a week. Cordero loses his clean border access overnight, the artery that made everything else work. Now Luz begins feeding you load schedules. You don't touch the loads. You don't need to. You pass the information, carefully, anonymously, through a tip line Rorke's task force monitors, and you let the government do the heavy work. 2 shipments seized, 1 driver arrested, 300 kilos gone. Cordero thinks the leak is internal. He starts cutting people who've been loyal for years, people who have friends, people who remember. Cutting people makes enemies. Enemies make noise. The noise helps you find Danny. You drive to Hermosillo on a Thursday afternoon, no gun, no plan that involves your hands. You park across from the bar where Danny drinks most evenings. Luce gave you this without knowing she gave you this, and you watch him for 2 hours through a dusty windshield. He looks the same, a little heavier, a little tan. He laughs at something the bartender says. That bothers you more than you expected it to. That he still laughs. You don't go inside. Instead, you send a message to Fausto, Cordero's second, with a document trail suggesting Danny has been cooperating with federal agents since 2021. The trail isn't entirely fabricated. Danny did cooperate once, briefly, on a separate case years back. You found the sealed record through Prieto. You leaked just enough of the truth to make the lie hold weight. Fausto does what men like Fausto do when they believe someone has been talking. 11 days later, Danny Vega is found in a drainage channel outside Hermosillo. You read the report on your phone in a grocery store parking lot in Tucson, engine running, AC on. You sit there for a while. You wait to feel something definitive, relief or guilt or the satisfaction you thought you'd been building toward. Nothing comes that has a name. You put the phone in your pocket. You go buy groceries. By now, Cordero's operation is bleeding from 4 directions at once. Arrests, defections. His cartel handlers are demanding answers he doesn't have. His name surfaces in a Phoenix New Times piece on border trafficking routes. His face follows 2 days later. He's been made visible, which for men like him is the same as being dead. He runs, south, then east, then off the grid. Predictably, you already know where he lands. There's a safe house outside Arivaca. Converted ranch, 40 acres, well water, nearest neighbor 2 miles out. The property sits under a name that doesn't exist in any real database, but the electric bill traces back to a Tucson account belonging to a woman named Rosa Cordero. 83 years old, his aunt. She signed the paperwork years ago and hasn't thought about it since. Luce gave you this too, still without knowing it. You go on a Tuesday. A little after 3 a.m., the gate is padlocked, but there's a gap in the fence near the eastern edge. Flood damage from 2 years ago, never repaired. You've driven this road 4 times in the past 3 weeks, each pass at a different hour, mapping the cameras, mapping the silences. You know the cameras go dark between 3 and 4 a.m., a maintenance window. Luce confirmed it once in passing conversation. She didn't know you were listening for it. You were always listening. Cordero has 1 man with him. Just 1. That tells you how far he's fallen. From an operation with dozens of moving parts to a single guard sleeping in a lawn chair on a wooden porch. You go through the back. The guard doesn't stir. Cordero is at the kitchen table, laptop open. A glass of something amber. He looks older than his photographs, the kind of old that comes from weeks of not sleeping, from watching everything you built come apart and not being able to stop it. He looks like a man who has been waiting, without admitting it, for someone to come through the door. He sees you. He doesn't reach for anything. He doesn't call out. He just looks at you across the table, and something in his face shifts. Not fear exactly. Recognition. Like he always knew the shape of this, just not the face. You set a folder on the table. Inside, the fabricated evidence that put you in federal custody. The phone communications between him and Danny. The welding invoice for the hidden compartment, found through Prieto, buried in a shell company's vendor records. Everything. Documented. Printed. You want him to understand exactly what he started and exactly how it ends. He reads. Slowly. You watch his eyes move across the pages. He understands. You don't use a gun. Guns are loud and guns are evidence and guns are things you reach for when you're angry. You are not angry. You use the wire tie-down strap from your work bag. The same one you carried in the Kenworth for 16 years.